This is Justin Lum, Fox 10 Phoenix investigator here, speaking to Adam Cox and Rex Connor. Adam is the brother of Lori Vallow. Rex, the uncle of Lori Vallow. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
It's a trick question. We're doing okay.
That's a loaded question.
Question.
We were introduced as Lori's uncle, and
how are you guys feeling? Well, today we're good.
Yeah, taking it day by day, I assume, and we are getting close to the sentencing. I know this is heavy. The sentencing of Lori on July 31st. Just tell me what's going through your guys' mind. It was a long journey through the trial. You know, Rex, you were there for some of it, but just how are you guys taking this on as we head to July 31st?
I'll take it first. It's tough on all of us, tough on the family members. We don't know how to go through this. We don't know what the right reactions are. We don't know what the right feelings are. All of us are trying to deal with it. But that's true for anyone, not just family members. Everyone needs to try to figure this out and heal from it to whatever degree we feel we need healing. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I didn't really watch any of the trial, but I know that people had sent me messages and kept me up to date on things that were happening in the trial. When it comes to Lori's sentencing, I've had this opinion the whole time. Whether she is in jail the rest of her life, or if she had the death sentence, or was in a insane asylum for the rest of her life, whatever the case may be with Lori, these are the consequences of her actions. So this is what is going to happen. She's going to have, we know that, we're pretty sure that, think she's going to be stuck in jail the rest of her life, where I would think that she should be.
And also, I'll weigh in on that also. Yes, whatever justice can be served in this life, we don't think all justice is served here. None of us believe that. But as much justice as can be, but she should not, I don't see how she could be rehabilitated from who she is or what she's done. So let's be clear, family members of Lori Vallow are also family members of Tylee and JJ. And I don't know any family members that don't want justice for Tylee and JJ and Charles and Tammy and any other victims of this terrible tragedy.
I do want to ask real quick, Adam, have you spoken to Lori, or has she reached out to you in some way? Have you ever reached out during this past 4-year ordeal?
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
No, I haven't talked to her. I haven't seen her. And to be honest with you, I don't even know what I would say, because the Lori that I've seen on TV is not the same Lori that I knew.
For people who don't know, just how close were you two? I mean, this is a tight-knit group of siblings, I've heard.
Yeah. Me and Lori were super tight. We're next to each other in age in our family, and we had a lot of same things in common. We love to laugh and have a good time and go to Disneyland and go to the movies and play sports, and it's weird that we had this great time as children and teenagers and then adults, and then this happens. It's like, you never thought, like in a million years, I never thought my family would be on TV experiencing this. Like, this is like something that you can't even, it's not even fiction. You can't even write what happened with Lori, Chad, and Alex. It's just, I can't make sense of any of it.
Yeah, of course, we have to talk about Alex Cox as well, your brother, and into this podcast that you guys are preparing, Tylee and JJ Silver Linings. What can people expect to hear, and why is this the name of the podcast?
Thanks for asking that, Justin. We do like honoring Tylee and JJ. and as I said, the other victims. That's why their names are in the podcast. And we do like to bring out whatever silver linings we can. When I was up there, Justin, with you and so many others at the trial, one of the silver linings I took away from that is what an army of people are looking for justice for Tylee and JJ. And all of us need healing, not just family members. All of us are scarred by it. And so and Adam and I decided to write a book. I had recently released a book, and he was writing a book about this. My book was nothing about this, but we said, we have all the components. Let's put a book together and try to help people that are going through what we're going through. They don't get the attention we do, but all of us are trying to make sense of it. We're trying to heal. Maybe having some family insights can help that. So that's why we're doing the book. And we said, well, let's do some podcasts leading up to the book to let people know it's coming. And some people won't read and they will listen, and vice versa. So we want to help as many people as we can that are going through what we're going through.
And so the topics, I mean, obviously the case, but are people going to learn some stories? I don't know if you can share an example of maybe something they didn't know about Adam, you and your sister, or something about Tylee and JJ, just kind of those important nuggets that people may not have ever heard about.
Well, you think of which one to share. Let me lead into it with this. I thought, I followed this case and pretty closely as a family member. And I know the people that are dialed into true crime know a lot more detail than I do. And they know things that I don't know, but there are a lot of family insights. So Adam and I got together, and when we started telling stories, good grief, there are stories Adam tells that I have never heard. Which one are you going to share with them to illustrate that?
I don't even know.
How about Brandon's involvement in getting the whole thing started? Because we appropriately talk about Kay and Larry getting the ball rolling, and we're so grateful for Kay and Larry Woodcock that called for the
searching for the kids.
Yeah,
yeah.
But there's more to it, Adam.
Well, yeah, Brandon was married to my niece, Melanie. And Brandon, when all this stuff was going down, Brandon had called me and Charles had called me, and I was the only family member that would actually take Brandon's calls or Charles's calls. So I got to hear their sides of what was going on and how things were changing. And Brandon really said, hey, Lori, where's the kids where's Lori's kids? And actually Brandon's the one that called Kay and said, you need to find out where where JJ is. You need to have the police go after them because something really bad is happening, So I mean this story, like I've said this 100 times, it's a huge onion. And every time we peel back one layer of the onion, there's something else right there that nobody else knows or maybe can help, put it together for people. So that's our whole podcast is about, just filling in the gaps of this case and about Lori and Chad and Alex and the victims. Obviously, Tylee and JJ were dear to our heart and still are. And there are silver linings, and we just have to have hope. When you go through something like this, you have to hang on to hope. And so I think our podcast will hopefully give people some hope.
And perspective. I think you make a good point there in also filling in the gaps. That's something that it's funny you say that. I would say that all the time as I was investigating this case back in 2019 into 2020. Is how can we get more and more records and information to fill in the gaps in the timeline? Because the timeline was all over the place. The locations were all over the place, spanning so many states. And to really give people just a quick refresher, because there's so many names and so many people involved, like Brandon Boudreaux, but you have Lori and Charles Vallow married in Arizona with a beautiful family. Tylee Ryan, the older sister, JJ Vallow, the younger brother adopted, but there were problems. There were marital issues. And at one point, it all comes to a head on July 11th, 2019. where your brother Alex Cox was in the home and altercation allegedly ensues, and then the shooting happened. Charles Vallow died there. So there's another case. There are pending charges here waiting in Maricopa County for your sister. You did a phone call, I think August 2019, with police, and you basically laid it all out, all your concerns. What is it like? I don't know if you heard it again, but it's all, public record. But just telling the detective just how you felt that Lori was really believing these religious ideas, and as well as Alex, and that you guys wanted to intervene and wanted to help, but it was too late.
Yeah, we talked about that on a podcast that we just recorded earlier today. Is that I start thinking about what could I have done? Is there anything else I could have done to prevent it? And I thought a lot of people said, look, if you would have got further involved in it, you would have been shot and killed. A lot of people believe that. I don't know exactly what I could have done different. I tried to warn people and tell people, but as I told my mom and dad, they were like, look, Lori's a grown adult. You can't grab her by the wrist and pull her to a therapist. You can't force people to do things. There's a lot to like we talked about this in the podcast today that we recorded that's coming out, is that the police department in Chandler, I have a lot of issues.
Really?
I was the last person to talk to Charles on the phone, text him. Lori and Charles got in a fight. Lori told the police that their fight was over Charles's phone. She wanted to check his phone. They left there without Charles's phone.
Correct.
For 24 hours or whatever it was, Lori had Charles's phone. I was the last person to text him. And then they told Lori to come down and bring his phone. Then they had his phone. And I was still never called by anybody from the police department. And I was the last person alive to text Charles. I don't understand why that gap happened. And I actually ended up calling after 3 months of like, what is happening? I can't take this anymore.
So you had to call. You had to call Chandler.
Yes.
And no one really found out the same day, besides obviously the people who were in the home who were still there, and Colby had arrived that same day. Not a lot of people found out Charles had been shot.
No.
Right? You were in Tucson with Zach, your son, and then you come back and meet your family, and there's a lot of chaos.
Yeah. If a family, think about your family. If one of your brother-in-laws is killed by your brother, why wouldn't anybody call or text or say what happened if it wasn't a cover-up or if it wasn't suspicious? It would be like, oh my gosh, Alex and Charles got in this fight and Alex accidentally shot him and killed him, or whatever the case may be. There would have been a phone call in a normal situation. That makes sense to me. When you go 3 days without knowing anybody is dead, and then you finally find out 3 days later that your brother-in-law is shot by your brother, and you don't find out, you find out by Googling it. That is, there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a lot there.
Hey, I have a lot of issues.
I mean, and really a salute to Charles. You were working with Charles, and Brandon was still he was trying to figure things out. He was going through a lot, but Charles really sounded the alarm. I mean, yeah. It is sad to see, and I think it reminds people how big the case here. It clearly stems here from Arizona. Do you believe that if police had found probable cause to arrest your brother Alex, that Rexburg, the whole tragedy is prevented? I know there's a short amount of time, but not really, right?
Yeah, we just talked about this on a podcast. Yes, I believe that.
Wow. Rex, I want to get to you. I know we got maybe like 5 to 7 minutes left, but Rex, you went to that trial. That had to be very, I don't know, a journey within yourself to explore and to see this person and to really face what she did. She's convicted, to go through this and experience that.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed, I walked in the courtroom, it was a real small courtroom, and Lori was right there. And that was a shock. And, we had eye contact. had a brief smile. And my daughter, I was there with my three daughters, and one of my daughters described this so well. She said, when you see Lori, just automatically you smile because you've had so many good times. It's still a person you know and you love. And I'm not afraid to say that. But as soon as that smile starts to come to your lips, it only gets to about half a smile, because then you remember why you were there and what she has done. And that kind of kills the smile. So they're kind of half smiles when you do that. So that was the first experience. It was strange. First time I'd seen her in 5 years. But then what happened at the trial, I was there not really wanting to go to the trial. I was there to support my three daughters that wanted to go and needed to process because they felt close with Lori. And so I said, well, I'll go share expenses and we can all process, every day, which we did. It was a wonderful experience with my daughters, terrible experience in the courtroom. How do you deal with, there are details there that my wife and I had chosen not to follow. We didn't know about. Well, I was there in court and all those details came out. So that was a tough experience. I wouldn't trade it. But Justin, what I came out of there with was such an appreciation for you, the people in media that were connecting this story to literally millions of other people that are interested. And I love the connection because we're all united in this connection. This isn't what you usually have to put out in the media, something that divides people and their two sides. There's one side to this. We all want justice for the victims in this case, for Tylee, JJ, for Charles, for Tammy. And I appreciate how big a part of that the media is, the army of law enforcement is, even the people in the court, the jurors, is just overwhelming to appreciate all of that.
There's two more questions you guys, either of you can answer. Do you feel that Chad Daybell, who has his trial upcoming, do you feel he really brainwashed Lori in some way, as her defense had said, or is that nonsense? First question.
I don't know anything about brainwashing. I don't know how it works or what it goes on. All I know is Lori met Chad at a time in her life where she was going down a path of believing all these things. When she met Chad, and then Chad said, "Hey, I'm the guy. We're going to collect 144,000 people. You and I, Lori, were married in another life. These spirits are dark, 4 dark, 3 dark, 4 light, whatever his thing is." I have no idea. I don't know anything about Chad. All I know is once Lori and Alex got involved with Chad, all this started.
And the last thing, and Adam, I guess this would be for you, since you know Lori, probably one of the closest people to her in the past. Just, is there any part of you that could believe that she allowed what happened to happen in front of her to her children, or something she said, take care of it? You know what I mean? Like, because we know where the remains were found of JJ and Tylee in Chad's backyard. That must be hard to fathom, though, as someone who's so close to her and loved her.
Yeah, like I said, this is something that happens to somebody else's family. I've heard people say the exact same words on TV. I've heard people say, "I never thought this would happen to my family. There's nobody in my family that would ever do anything like this." And then this happens. I don't know what Lori's involvement was, but I do know that she believed everything Chad told her. And she still believes it while she's sitting in jail. She still believes that Chad is a god or whatever he told her he is. So is that brainwashed? I don't know. But she believes that. So being involved in the actual killing, I don't know if she was there, but she was aware of it. And she knew about it, which in Idaho, that's guilty.
And let me weigh in on the brainwashing question too, if I could, Justin.
Okay.
Whether she was brainwashed, possessed by demons, orchestrated it all herself, was a religious cultist, none of that absolves her of responsibility for the decision she made to murder people. It doesn't resolve Alex. It doesn't resolve Chad. whatever their reasons, whatever their motives, they're just guilty and need to have the consequences of that in this life and whatever follows this life.
Yeah, and then you brought up Alex real quick. Are you guys surprised at his alleged involvement? I know he's not here to have his day in court, but it was clear that he would do anything for his sister.
Well, it seemed that way. And he did support her. And, once she wanted him to do something, he felt like he needed to do it. So, yeah. And, again, there's like Rex said, you have decisions to make. And with Chad or Lori, or pretend like they're this goddesses or whatever, and Alex wanted to feel special. He wanted to feel that he could belong to something or be counted on for something. And if it's for a cause for God, then he was all in on that. Whether that meant killing kids or killing whoever. These are kids that he loved. So I just can't imagine you could kill somebody that you love without having your brain. I don't know if it's washed, but it was definitely not in the normal state of mind.
Well, Adam and Rex, thank you for sharing your time with me, and very interested to see the stories and hear the stories you guys have on this podcast. So when can we expect this to come out?
Today. Our technician says, the owner of the studio here.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, we'll be looking out for that. And thank you guys so much again for I know this has been a tough ordeal, but definitely to provide that perspective for so many following the case. I think that's very appreciated. So
thank you, Justin.
Yeah, appreciate it.